Hello and welcome back to another chapter of Organic Ghost Detector by Dragons Are Cool on AO3. Chapter 3, A Haunt to Grian. They'd been there over an hour now, still searching for any more evidence towards this ghost. Grian was pacing the room, chasing any bumps and knocks, trying to catch any UV left behind. Impulse and Skiz had been taking turns kicking the people out to try the spirit box, during which time the rest of them would be watching the cameras in the van hoping to catch a glimpse of Dots. They did see the ghost throw the writing book they had laid out at one point, which apparently meant it wasn't that likely to give writing as evidence. So they'd set the book back up just in case, and tentatively crossed out writing in the meantime. But besides that, and the orbs, they had nothing else to go off of, and Grian could feel his nerves fraying as the night crept on. Between his time scouting with Jimmy, Lizzie, and Joel, the few investigations he now had under his belt, Grian was very familiar with how a haunt felt. They were a bit more intense at night, and this particular haunt even more so. But even with the varying levels haunt to haunt, the feeling was pretty consistent. It always gave him a bit of a jolt when he crossed the threshold of the haunt, but usually it settled into a steady buzz through his whole body. His muscles felt like he'd just run a race, faintly burning with lactic acid. But the effect was usually balanced well enough by the adrenaline it also triggered running through his system. It was not entirely unlike the unfortunate, all too familiar effects of constant anxiety. All in all, it was manageable, and just enough of a boost to keep him going through the investigation. But as the night went on, Grian could feel the strength of the haunt slowly grow, and with it his feelings of anxiety. Each creak and groan of the old timbers making up the house sent him a spike in his heart rate. He could feel the jumps and drops when his teammates came and went from the haunt. Scar caused a smaller one than Skiz and Impulse, but as the clock ticked on, he came to be able to feel even that subtle change. It also grew more and more uncomfortable for him to cross the threshold himself, even to leave. It's why he hesitated to follow Scar back out to check the monitors. It's why he was still in the haunt now. The relatively tame buzzing he felt throughout the night molded itself into a thick, syrupy feeling, weighing him down. His heart fluttered in his chest as his ribs tightened around his lungs, forcing the breath out of them. He could feel every hair and every feather on his body stand on end. His normally cozy sweater prickling painfully against his skin. He could feel the air moving in the otherwise stagnant room. The adrenaline spike that flowed over charged him to the point that, despite the weight in his limbs and burning in his lungs, he felt ready to run a marathon. His skin felt too tight and restrictive around him. His wings twitched restlessly behind him. He winced and squinted against the seemingly brightening lights of the room as his vision went fuzzy. Grian? Impulse's voice only just barely seemed to reach his ears past the ringing, rushing sound of his own blood coursing through him. He shook his head and grabbed for the bedpost to steady himself. He could feel the old wood creak under his grip, and then suddenly, as it had all started, the feeling broke. And that is the end of Chapter 3.